So we are making a smoked hillbilly chili today. It's a recipe I wrote for the Grill Stock Cookbook 4 years ago, I think, and I still keep a jar of the chili mix in the cupboard. Just makes it a lot easier. I'll run through what that is in a second, because the first thing I want to do is get the onions frying. So there we go. Just set those bad boys going. So we're making this on a smoker. Yes, of course you can make chili on your oven, on a hob, wherever. But I think using a smoker gives another level of flavour. It's not overpowering because you're just getting a bit wafting over it, really. But what you do pick up is really worthwhile the effort. It also means you don't really need to check on it that much. It's not going to overcook if you do something else for half an hour. And it also means I can cook outside, and I always like cooking outside as and when I can. So I've got this set to about 140 centigrade. Doesn't really matter, anywhere within kind of 120 to 140, 150 is fine. This smoke fire I can just dial down the temperature really easy, so if it's getting a bit carried away with itself, I'll just notch it down. So the key ingredient here is the hillbilly chili mix. So in there you've got salt and pepper and cumin, some chili powder, and then I don't know if you can make out, there's lots of these little kind of dried flakes. So that's a mixture of a couple of different kinds of dried chilies that have been chopped up. So there's chipotle chilies, which are smoked jalapenos. There's some ancho chili, and there's some pasilla chili. Between the three of those, they're going to give a really nice smoky flavour, a bit of chocolatey flavour, a bit of kind of fruity flavour as well. I've got a mixture of passata and chopped tomatoes because I didn't have enough chopped tomatoes. I think it's all fine at the moment, and chili particularly, doesn't really matter what goes in it. As long as you've got a good base chili seasoning and good meat, it's all good. Speaking of meat, I've got about 1.5 kilos of fairly coarsely ground beef mince here. This is from cows that are reared about half a mile away on my friend's little small holding, and he very kindly gave me this a couple of days ago, and I thought perfect. I was planning to cook a chili. Normally I prefer to use smoked meat, leftovers, so a smoked brisket chili is the best, or a smoked beef cheek chili is the best. But this mince will be fantastic. I've got the dregs of a bottle of bourbon that's going to go in there. Now this already has, as well as the smoked chilies, the seasoning already has some cocoa powder, it has smoked paprika, normal paprika, a bunch of other stuff. I'll put the recipe to this up because once you've made a jar it lasts for ages and it's great to have. But I'm also going to stick a bit of extra cooking chocolate in just because it really adds to the unctuousness, and my family like the chili nice and chocolatey, so I'm going to do that. Another good ingredient in your chili is a spoonful of black treacle. So I think these two together, not everyone puts in the chili, but a little bit of each is really going to make the difference. I've got some garlic puree because I've run out of fresh garlic. I've got some tomato puree, some beef stock, and I have got a beer as well, but that's for me, not for the chili. There we go, they're sauteing nicely. See if this one's open. No, there we go. So a good squeeze of the garlic puree in there. Right, time for the mince. Beautiful. I've no idea what cuts are in that, but I do know the cows have had a very happy life. They've been fed out in beautiful open fields, fed and cared for by my friends, so it's going to be good meat. Really, it doesn't matter if that's all browned off. It's great if it does. It's going to add a bit of colour, a bit of extra flavour. But I've made chilies in the past where I've literally just put all the raw ingredients in. I've not even fried the onions. Put all the raw ingredients in, the seasonings, the stock, everything, all cold, including the beef. Turned it on, left it 3 or 4 hours, and it's been absolutely delicious. So don't get too carried away with having to pre-cook everything. Great if you've got the time, but otherwise don't worry too much. There we are. So I'm just going to leave that 5 minutes now. Okay, we've just had a little refill the hopper warning. So I'm just going to sling some more fuel in before I carry on. I don't want to run out. So this barbecue burns these things. It's little compressed sawdust pellets, completely dried out. It's got a little auger in there that turns and drops them into a fire pot, and that burns and gets fanned if it needs a bit of extra heat, and it drops them in as fast as it needs to. This one's hickory flavour. You can also get apple or fruitwood flavour or mixed blends, get all sorts, but just makes it very, very easy to use and very easy to dial in whatever temperature you want. So let's have a quick look at this meat. Get in there. Still a few pinky bits, but I don't mind about that too much. So, time to add a few more bits and bobs in. Here's the chili mix, so probably, I don't know, about 1.5 to 2 of those. One of my sons isn't too keen on his food too spicy, so dial that back a little bit. If you like it spicy, you add more. You can add some fresh hot chili. Cook it how you want. That's what I like about chili. Kind of just cook it how you and your family like it. Whatever cuts of meat you like, spicy. You can put fruit in it. Absolutely anything you find. Good for times like this where we've all got a bit limited resources in the kitchen cupboard. All right. Squeeze a good slug of that in. None of my measurements are particularly accurate on this. I'm going to put some treacle in with the liquid in a minute. Yeah, that'll do for now. Right, just give that a few more minutes to heat through. Okay, that's had another 5 minutes or so. Perfecto. So now it's the rest of the ingredients. Simple as that, really. Slug of bourbon. Get the passata in. Chopped toms. Don't go mad with the treacle because it can give a little bitterness if you're not careful, but chili this size, good tablespoon. Just going to add a bit of sweet, a bit of bitter, with that lovely kind of molasses flavour. Pour my stock in. That's about 3/4 of a litre. May need to add a bit more if it dries out. If it's too wet, we'll just cook it for a bit longer. About half a bar. Or so. And then I know a lot of chili recipes say chuck these in at the last minute. I don't like doing that because I like the beans nice and soft, so they kind of fall apart almost. So I think if you put them in at the beginning, you've got more chance of that happening. and it's started to rain now, which is a bit of a shame. It's been a bit of a weird old day. We've had hailstone, glorious sunshine, thunderstorms, all been happening today. So I'll get this stirred in before the heavens open, and then I can close the lid and just leave this chugging away, doing its stuff for a few hours, and then we'll come back and see how it is looking. Smelling great already. Right, it's chucking it down. So, a couple of hours in now, I think. Bubbling away. Looking good. Smelling good. So I think what I might do, it's bubbling quite a lot. Doesn't need to be bubbling away that fast, just kind of one bubble, two bubbles every minute or so is fine. So I'm just going to dial this down a little bit. There we go. Probably better give it a good one. Another hour or two. I think we'll be there. Okay, so we are 3.5, 4 hours in, I think. It's had a couple of stirs. We're pretty much good to go. In between the showers and the hail. So there we go. Nice smoked hillbilly chili. Dead easy. Chuck it all in, leave it to do its thing. We're having this tonight with some nachos, sour cream, coriander, maybe a bit of guac. But really, it's all about the chili. I will put the recipe up. Hope you enjoy.